How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to another open world build guide. So today I'm going to be showing you the secondary setup and the second half to my elementalist builds that I've been running with. This is going to be a summoner Auramancer that I'm opting for. So the way this setup is going to work is basically you want to use your glyph of lesser elementals and your glyph of elementals and summon as many as you possibly can. You then also want to give them auras, such as Fire Aura, for example, that you'll then share to them, so that the elementals you put into combat, such as the Elite Earth Elemental, that I'm going to summon here, will then also get the Fire Aura to be able to go and do a bunch of damage when it gets hit. So, we're going to use my Signet of Fire, and you'll see he gets his little debuff, or his little buff underneath him. If I use my Signet of Air, he'll also get another buff. And then as I slowly kill things and work things down, I will be more and more getting resets on my elemental glyph there, like you saw, which will allow me to summon even more of them as time goes on. And then keep the auras up through repeat signets. I've gotten to a point where I could have 4 elementals summoned at the same time, just through killing things with Signet of Frenzy. Or Sigil of Frenzy, rather. Because you get a couple of seconds off your CDs, and the actual elementals last for 120 seconds each. Which will allow you to create a pretty good army, which will fight for you, tank for you, and then you can heal them, support them, buff them, and you can create a menagerie of them, depending on what stance you summon them from. So for example, right now, I have 3 separate fire aura'd elementals that are kind of difficult to take down. Like, yeah, okay, my damage isn't as high as the previous setup, since of course we're focused around summoners, or summoning, since we're having a good time. You can then also heal your elementals, like so, by giving them regen, or blasting the auras, like so, and then pop him off so that he can then go back into the fray. And just like that, we're about to have a full team of elementals. Give it just a second. Summon ourselves another fire ellie. And then let's give them all an aura. Swap the water, give them another aura. Blast that. And then give myself another aura, which will then extend it to my allies again. And like so, you have yourself a bit of a small army. This is one of my personal favorite setups, and something I'm going to actually adapt into a full healer a little bit down the line, because when you give auras to things, you'll actually heal them as well. So, this is a meme setup for sure. It's definitely not the greatest thing on the planet, but if you're struggling to play Elementalist, or you're struggling with getting downed over and over, you can then adapt this based on your needs at the time. Pretty much an all-arounder. Like I said, you can summon the Earth Elemental, or you can summon a Water Elemental, or you could summon a Fire Elemental, or what have you, and then you get the boys, like so. But yeah, you wind up with a nice squad that you can then, like I said, oh, you got the the Lion King's walking by us. That's cute. But yeah, you can then give them all auras with Signet of Fire. You can also Frost Aura yourself, and it will Frost Aura all of them as well to give them reduced damage. This will make it so if they get hit, then they'll grant might to themselves so they get stronger, or you will also do reflect damage as well. And then this will give them a stun aura, which will make it so if anything hits them, they'll get stunned. So now we have 3 basic auras, which will also heal. This is the basic setup. I'll go through and explain, which we're working with water here to start, because we're going to have passive healing as well every couple of seconds. So we're going to just slowly heal our elementals and our summons because we're in water. And then we'll gain regen and frost aura when you use a healing skill. So like I said, when you use your Signet of Restoration, you'll be giving everything a frost aura. Now normally you don't want to use signets, right? They're kind of trolling. But if we're using written in stone, then signets will continue to grant their passive bonuses whilst recharging, and you'll gain an aura when you use a signet skill, which, like I said, you can then give those auras to your summons to make them turbo OP. 4 summons with a flame aura, kinda spooky. And then as a result, you can then keep the passive of gain health every time you cast a spell, which is Elementalist's most reliable source of healing, just across the board. It's just going to passively heal you, combined with Soothing Mist, which will give you other passive constant heals because you're in water stance, so you're basically unable to die, unless you really make a major mistake. You'll do an AoE heal passively, whenever you swap the water. You'll deal increased strike damage, which is also increased while your health above the threshold, which is nice, just flat extra damage. And then any aura you grant to yourself is granted to nearby allies. This is how we grant the aura with Signet of Fire, with Signet of Air, and with Signet of Restoration. You also have increased healing from Auramancer's training. And then moving down to Fire, we keep Burning Precision because this is a adaptation of my previous Staff Mage. So we do want to stay in Fire for most of our damage since we have a Celestial gear set. I'm using the exact same setup as before with the Celestial, Flame Legion, and Frenzy Smoldering. Frenzy is how you get the multiple elementals off. There's definitely a window where you could have 5 elementals. I'm not going to try and sit here and have it happen. I mean, maybe for a screenshot or something, sure. But there's definitely a scenario where you can have that happen by hitting enough of the Frenzy resets, because every 10 seconds you can get 2 seconds off. Across a 120-second duration, that's like 30 seconds off a CD, right? 10, 120, 12 times 2, 24. You get 24 seconds off of a CD, which means if you optimize it perfectly, you can get like half an extra elemental out, which will basically cover the fact that the average person will just get an extra elemental as a result of the frenzy. Or on top of that, it'll also reduce the cooldowns of your signets, so you get more auras. You also get more, firestorms, lava fonts, other auras, etc., etc. Because Frenzy Sigil is definitely one of the best by far. And I still have the Relic of the Cavalier, because this just gives you might, and gives you basically everything you would need to operate with. You could also do regen's more effective. I have a healing setup somewhere that will give you the Relic of Duena, which will give you increased regeneration, so you just passively heal the guys more, since you're going to be giving regen out with your water 5 and that sort of stuff, right? Simple as. But yeah, the Burning Precision is where a lot of our extra damage is going to come from, because the standard damage rotation is just Fireball with Flame Burst and Signet of Fire, which will give you all of your burning stacks, a couple of lava fonts underneath them, and the meteor shower over top will give you all your burning damage. And then your fire auras will have increased duration. Applying auras to allies will remove conditions, and transmuting auras will remove conditions from nearby allies. Now, I don't particularly know how to transmute auras, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty sure you can make them explode as well, so that'll be pretty cool. This is a lot better as well if you run Tempest, but I don't have access to it just yet. I'll explain that in just a little bit. Then we go Pyromancer's training for damage, and then Pyromancer's... I'm still not going to be able to say that word. Which will give you might constantly whenever you use any skill whilst in fire. So you're just going to be passively stacking might. Your Cavalier bonus will give you extra might on top of that, so you can cap out pretty easily. And then when you stance swap, you'll do an AoE, which will consume your might, and do a big AoE for that as well. And then in Earth, we have the other options. Auras will grant you protection, which will be really nice. Grants protections to allies. And then gain barrier and cripple when attuning to Earth. Kind of meh. Gain condition damage based on toughness. Just flat extra damage. Gain bleeding when you immobilize a foe, which isn't too bad for Earth and Air attunement. But, I mean, it's just for extra condi damage. The rest of them are just kind of underwhelming. And then strike damage from nearby foes is reduced. But the major one is for Written in Stone, so that you can get the pseudo aura application on a core setup. Now, if you want to augment this even further, you switch out Earth.
Oh no, we're trapped. Huddle up. If you can fight, stand
with
me.
Talking. No? Go. You can switch out Earth into Tempest, because Tempest will then allow you to get auras as well. You'll get auras from your Overload. If I can focus a little, use it, and there we go. Overloads grant an aura based on your attunement. So you'll get Fire Aura over and over and over by using your Overload, which that Fire Aura will then share. So you'll get Fire Aura from either Signet of Fire. Well, if you're using Tempest, you wouldn't be using Signet of Fire, because they have built-in skills instead. They have Feel the Burn, which is an AoE shout that will do a bunch of damage, and then also apply Fire Aura. And then you also get access to the Warhorn as a Tempest, which will give you access to Fire Shield, which will give you Fire Aura just on demand. I mean, if you wanted to, well, that's focus, sorry. You'll get Heat Sink and Wildfire, which will give you bonus extra damage, extra healing with the Tidal Surge, you know, all these sorts of extra options. You can opt for Warhorn, you could opt for Fire Shield, whichever you want to particularly do. I'm staying with Staff, but you can use Dagger and an offhand weapon as well if you wanted to just experiment a little bit. I like having a secondary weapon set that's really, like, functional, just in case I get bored. Even if it's not the most optimal, not what it's based around, just that little bit of, like, ability to do other fun stuff. Really nice, because there's the Fire Shield right there, which you can then consume and transmute, I suppose, to do the AoE. So you can do the same thing with your other elementals. Summon up our boys. Give it a second. Let it come back. Now, I'm curious. I haven't actually done this myself. Will this AoE
Defense
on everybody? Oh, that would have been too cool. That would have been too cool if it exploded off of everybody. But, oh well. But yeah. Basically, you'll then replace Signet of Fire with Field of Burn. You'd replace Signet of Air with probably Flash Freeze, which will give you a Frost Aura. And then your heal would be replaced with probably Wash Away the Pain. Or you just keep Signet of Restoration on and you just don't press it. Probably what I would wind up doing as a result there instead. And then you have Rebound as well, but I mean, you would want to keep with the Elementals. But the point of going Tempest is, like I said, you get even more auras with the Attunement, or the Attunement Overloads. So Fire Aura from that, which will share, do extra AoE damage. You'll then get the Field, which you can blast as well at the end of the Overload. And yeah, that's kind of your more optimal option. Granting an aura to an ally will also increase your outgoing damage for a time, which is really, really good. And using shouts will might. So you can assume exactly how you would go about this setup here. Everything is being attacked. I don't know what happens. But yeah, that is my Summoner Auramancer. One of my personal favorite shenanigansy setups. Do let me know what you would add to this, because there could be some other elementals or other elementalist stuff that I haven't found just yet, as I am still new to the class. These are just my personal self-craft that I mess around with and have a lot of fun. Thank you guys for listening, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.